We do want to continue on with some news about the Trump administration in 2025. Let's now show you a live look that we have there in Tampa over the city because the news does come out of Florida. Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister says that he's now withdrawing from consideration after President-elect Donald Trump nominated him to head up the Drug Enforcement Administration. Now, Chronister did make this announcement just about 72 hours after Trump nominated him. Showing you now a post that we have on X from his account. He says to have been nominated by President-elect Donald Trump to serve as the administrator of the Drug Enforcement Administration is the honor of a lifetime. But over the past several days, the gravity of this very important responsibility set in, and I've concluded that I must respectfully withdraw from consideration. We do now want to get more information about this story. We're going to be joined by Fox 13 Tampa reporter Genevieve Curtis. Genevieve, thanks so much for joining us. Can you first tell us more about Sheriff Chronister and why he ultimately decided to step away from this nomination?
Yeah, good evening, Christina. Well, Sheriff Chronister has served in some capacity here in Hillsborough County for 30 years, working for the sheriff's office for the past 30 years. And this evening, he put out a pretty brief statement saying that he likes his job as the Hillsborough County Sheriff and he wants to continue the work he's been doing. On Saturday, Sheriff Chad Chronister called it the honor of a lifetime to be President-elect Donald Trump's pick to lead the DEA. Many in the law enforcement community praised the nomination, as did Governor Ron DeSantis. But 72 hours later, Chronister withdrew from the process, saying, quote, "Over the past several days, as the gravity of this very important responsibility set in, I've concluded that I must respectfully withdraw from consideration. There is more work to be done for the citizens of Hillsborough County and a lot of initiatives I am committed to fulfilling." He didn't give any specific reasons for withdrawing, and our chief political correspondent, Craig Patrick, says the sheriff would have faced tough questions from some Republicans in the Senate over his nomination.
Well, I think you begin with Rodney Howard-Browne, the pastor in Tampa who was arrested during the lockdown by Chronister for breaking the COVID rules. Ultimately, that's what was drawing the most pushback from conservative circles in Washington leading up to Chronister's decision to withdraw his nomination.
Plus, Patrick adds the position in Washington leading the DEA, while prestigious, doesn't always come with job security.
I believe we've had 3 in the past 4 years. If you count the acting administrators, you had 3 just in Trump's first term. You can't expect to hold that job long term. Then after you move on, if you've left your dream job, you may come to regret that, and you may start thinking about that within the first 72 hours and think, hey, I've got the perfect job right here. That may have been what happened, plain and simple.
While social media swirls with theories on why the sheriff withdrew, our Craig Patrick says he doesn't think Chronister's father-in-law, Eddie DeBartolo Jr., receiving a pardon from Trump in 2020 had any bearing on the process.
I really do think that you look at his statement, I'll take him at his word that this is motivated by his love for the position that he has. If you look at the other controversies that is drawing concern or was drawing concern among some right-wing Republicans, that wasn't coming up, the prior pardon. And I don't know that the status of your in-laws is ultimately going to affect the nomination, especially when the president involved in that is the same president who made the nomination.
And now tonight I spoke with several law enforcement sources, some who say that they're disappointed that Chronister withdrew. They said he would have made a great administrator for the DEA. Others are saying they are happy that he withdrew because Hillsborough County gets to keep him here as sheriff, and he does have a lot of support here in Hillsborough County. He is a very popular sheriff. Now, as far as who could be nominated to replace him in this capacity, you know, Trump has been leaning heavily on Florida for a lot of his picks and potential cabinet picks. But again, this is a position for the administrator of the DEA, and that tends to be heavily from people who've had previous federal law enforcement backgrounds. So that still remains to be seen. Christina.
Genevieve, thanks so much for being with us. And before I let you go, I have to ask you, as for Sheriff Chronister, what's next for him? Is he going to remain the top cop there in Hillsborough County?
Yeah, absolutely, Christine. I mean, that is part of his statement tonight, obviously saying that he wants to stay here. He is not up for election anytime soon. He's got a lot of backing here in Hillsborough County. There was, talk about who was going to replace him. That would have come down to Governor Ron DeSantis. He would have had to come up with an appointment to replace Chronister had he left for that position in D.C. So it will be business as usual here in Hillsborough County. Christina.
Certainly another story that we're going to continue to follow here on Live Now from Fox. Thanks so much to Fox 13's Genevieve Curtis for your input on this story.